Partial dependency plot is one of the very important tool in machine learning, which will help you in finding out how your feature affects your prediction. And at sometimes your stakeholders would like to understand how the value of my feature will affect prediction. And in those scenarios, partial dependency plot is more suitable for finding out answers for all those queries. So in this video, we will see how partial dependency works and what are the variations we can make in partial dependency plot to find out different sort of answers. Okay, so let's take this example. So this is a snapshot of my credit card customer churn dataset, which we would be using in this Jupyter notebook. Okay, and here I have just taken the initial 5 rows to explain the concept around partial dependency plot, how it works. Okay, so at the end you will see something like this. So this plot explains the variation of your prediction score based on different values of your field, right? So here I have taken field as total transaction amount. So here we can clearly see a pattern that once my value of total transaction amount would be 500, the prediction score would be around 49%. So these sort of variation you can see from partial dependency plot. But now the question comes how internally it works, right? So we'll just briefly cover how it internally works. So considering that we have 5 rows in my data set, and I would like to draw a pattern around how my prediction score will change based on different values of total transaction amount. Okay, so here we need to take this field and replace all the values with a constant value, right? So here I am replacing it with 500, and this should come out from your distribution pattern. So say for example your total transaction amount varies from 200 to, so here from 500 to 17,500, right? So you need to take a value from this range, you need to replace all the values from that fixed value. So here I am taking 500. Okay, and then we need to feed this data to your machine learning model. But here the another thing which is very important, we need to only replace the value of this field for which we would like to see a change in prediction, but all the other values would remain same. We will not modify anything in those feature values. So once we will prepare this type of data, we need to feed all these data points to my model, and then model will find out the average class probability for this unique value, which is 500. Okay, and that's what partial dependency will plot here, right? So you'd be able to see that at 500 value, average class probability would be 49, right? And if you need to calculate it for different value, so take an example of 2500, then you need to replace that 2500 here. So you need to replace all the values from 2500, and then again repeat the same process, feed this data to your machine learning model. Machine learning model will calculate the average class probability and will plot it here, right? So for 2500 it will have probability score of 0.25. So in this way partial dependency calculates the prediction probability for each values, right? And it will plot in this manner. And at the bottom you will see that it shows the distribution of total transaction amount, right? So you can see that most of the values varies from 500 to 5,000, and we have not very highly populated data around these data ranges, right? But definitely we have some dense area near 7,500, we have some dense area around 1,500. So we have those sort of patterns, and you can clearly see the variation of your prediction probability based on different values of your total transaction amount, right? So in this manner, you'd be able to answer questions to your stakeholders, right? So take an example here. If my stakeholder will ask how the prediction, that means class probability, will change if total amount spent on credit card increase or decrease, right? So that's the total transaction amount. And using this plot, we will be able to answer those queries. So that's the basic concept behind the partial dependency plot, and we'll see how we can plot these sort of diagrams, and we'll have much more information which partial dependency plot will provide. We'll also see how we can find out the interaction impact, right? So we'll cover all those aspects in this notebook, right? So let's start. So with that context, we'll simply build one machine learning model for my credit card customer churn data. Okay. You can download this data from the Kaggle site. Okay. So once you have data, just import all the relevant packages. Right. So here I have added all the packages, and the most important thing for partial dependency plot is to import these package, these two statements, right? So we'll simply run it. Okay. Now load the data. We'll quickly explore the data, what it contains, right? And we'll see the distribution of my class variable. So that's the class variable we have, right? And you can see the distribution of these two variables, right? So this is the positive outcome we are expecting, right, for customer who would be churning in next 6 months. So that's what we need to predict. Okay, and next I am simply performing a quick correlation analysis because we have many numerical fields. So we'll simply run it. Okay, and this will provide the relationship. And here you can see that these two fields are correlated, credit limit and average open to buy, right? So these two fields basically provide same sort of information. So we can delete one and we'll keep the other value, other feature for my model training, right? So that's what I have done as a part of next step. So in this step, I am simply preparing the data for my modeling. And here I have replaced this value based on my correlation analysis. I have removed the class variable and I have removed the client number because this is unique for all the rows, right? So that's what I have done it here. Okay. And next I have done some standard set of activities where I'm simply encoding my target variable, right? I'm preparing feature list for all the numerical and categorical column, right? And while calculating the feature columns, I am simply excluding it from my categorical or feature or numerical feature list, right? So that's what I have done as a part of these statements, right? And here I am simply combining all the numerical feature and categorical features, right? And then I'm simply splitting the data in train and test. And finally, I am performing a label encoding for my all the categorical column, right? So once you'll be able to perform all these steps, your data is ready for modeling. And in next step, I'm simply taking XGBoost classifier. And here I have defined some parameters so that we don't overfit because it's a very small data set. And I'm defining the maximum depth as 3. I'm defining the objective as binary logistic because it's a binary classification problem. And I'm simply fitting it against my training data. So that's it. And here I'm simply checking the AOC score for my training data and AOC score for my validation data, right? So we'll simply run it. And you can see the training and validation AOC score. It's pretty close. So we are happy with the overall performance. Now we'll plot a feature importance, right? So for feature importance, I'm simply creating one data frame, and in that data frame, I am storing all the feature column and I'm storing all the feature importance value, right? So that's what I have done as a part of these 3 statements. And in next 3 statement, I'm simply taking the value from the data frame and I'm plotting it with the help of Seaborn package. Run it. And that's the feature importance list for all the feature columns, right? So that's what we can see it. But by looking into this feature importance plot, we will not be able to tell how the feature value will impact your prediction, because it will not tell you whether the feature value will increase the prediction or it will decrease the prediction. It will not tell those sort of information, because feature importance is not meant to provide those sort of information. It will only tell you which features are important for your model, right? And yeah, that's it. And the partial dependency plot would be able to address those sort of questions. What would be the feature value impact on the prediction, whether my prediction will increase or decrease, right? So we'll see how we can plot the partial dependency plot. So here we just need to use two functions from partial dependency plot, PDP isolate and PDP plot, right? So as a part of this statement, what we will do, we'll simply pass the trained model which we have trained, right? So xgb underscore CLF is my trained classifier, and next I'll be passing my validation data, okay? And here I will be passing all the validation columns, and we'll pass which features value we would like to see in my partial dependency plot, right? So here what we are saying that we need to see the impact of total transaction amount on my prediction, right? So once it would calculate the values, we'll simply take the output of this and we'll plot it, right? So all the operations or activity which we had discussed here, right? So it will replace it with the one fixed value, will calculate the average class probability, right? So all those sort of things would be automatically done by this function. Will be done by PDP isolate function, right? And here it's simply taking this as an input, and it will plot, it will take some bunch of parameters and will simply display the value, right? And here you can see that it is the same graph which we had seen earlier, and it will clearly show the impact of your total transaction amount on your prediction. And you can clearly see that after 7500, the prediction will not change. It will be constant. You can see it from here. So all the variations which we have, we can see from this partial dependency plot varies between 500 and 7500. So we have some variation ups and down between these two values, right? So that's the information partial dependency plot will provide, okay? And if you'd like to see the prediction for all the rows, so here it is, right? So it will provide the prediction for all the rows. So that's what these rows provide, and this is simply the average of all those prediction values, right? So it's very informative, and in this way you'd be able to find out what's the normal pattern my prediction has, right? And what is the confidence of those predictions. So that's what we can see it here. That's the confidence it has, okay? We'll take another variable, and one more thing. Here you can see the distribution of that variable, right? So you can see the distribution. Most of the distribution for my total transaction amount varies between 500 and 5000 and 500, okay? And we have some value between these, and here we have very less value or less rows between these ranges, right? So that's a very handy way of looking the distribution of your total transaction amount and how your prediction changes on those value ranges, okay? Similarly, if we take another feature value here, total transaction CT, how that will affect your prediction, and here you can see it, clear pattern it is providing. So till this point it will increase. So 20, 40, right? And here you can see the slight decline, and then it will start declining. So from this point onwards it will start declining, right? And after this point it will be constant, right? So this is a very informative field, right? Because we have seen a clear cut variation in the prediction performance or of the class overall class probability of customer churn, right? So these sort of information we can explore, and we can probably answer lots of questions from your stakeholders who would ask what would be the impact on your prediction if we'll make certain changes in this feature value, right? And here it's the same information to all the prediction for all the rows. Okay. The last thing which we can explore from the partial dependency plot is about the interaction. How these two features will interact with the prediction, right? So for this we will be using two functions, which is PDP interact and PDP interact plot. So again, here we need to provide the classifier, your validation data, feature columns, and feature to plot, right? So here we need to provide all the features for which we need to understand the impact. So feature interaction between total transaction CT and total transaction amount, right? So once we'll plot it, okay, you would be able to clearly see the impact of those interactions, okay? And if we'll see the interaction between these two values, you can clearly see some sort of pattern, right? So here you can see that values are high, right? So once my total transaction amount will vary from this to this, and by keeping the total transaction amount constant at 596, it will have the maximum probability of 0.83, right? But from this point onwards, it will start degrading 759, 508, 289. So okay, you can see from this point onwards, it will start deteriorating, right? So that's a clear cut pattern. And here, and on the other hand, if you'll see some sort of pattern at this point of time here, right? So these sort of values you can clearly see from your partial dependency plot and mainly around the interaction. It's a great way of finding out the feature impact on your prediction. But at the same time, it has also several disadvantages, and it makes a very strong assumption about the independence of the feature, right? So that's the one of the major disadvantage of using partial dependency plot, because it assumes that all the feature value which are computed for partial dependency plot are not correlated with each other, right? So we need to be aware about those assumptions, and while using this tool, we need to make sure that all the feature value are independent, are not correlated, because it will provide some incorrect information or you will conclude something incorrectly, right? So you need to be aware about those aspects also. It has also several other disadvantages, but those are not very critical. But yes, the assumption around the independence is one of the critical assumption which partial dependency plot makes, and it's not suitable for all the problem statements. Okay, so that's it for now. Thanks for watching it.